Welcome back, folks, to Tales of Equestria, the Broken and Bleeding Heart. I'm your host and DM, Lord Lucan. Starting from right to left, tell us a little bit about yourself and who are you playing as?
I'm Christopher, and I am the pony with no name, a survivor from the village of Sunnytown in the Everfree Forest. He escaped from a terrible curse that consumed every pony while he was outside town, and he has lost all sense of happiness and joy in his heart. He never says a word, nor shows much emotion except for a faint sadness in the eyes. He has no name, no home, and no cutie mark. But despite the darkness that has touched his heart, he is kind, helpful, and will not stop doing what's right.
Excellent. Blizzard.
Well, folks, I'm Commodore Vital. I'm playing as Blizzard Store, a unicorn who is a brother of the previous character that I used, No Comment, who is now trying to hone his magical abilities and free himself from a curse that he has been inflicted on thanks to a certain mare. And that's about it.
Can anybody tell me what happened last time?
If I remember correctly, we got into a portal and we fought a bunch of flesh hounds and demon beasts.
That was pretty much it. We started making our way back north, came to a very unusual set of terrain, and unfortunately just happened to wrong into the wrong spot, which brought us to this rather hellish place. But we managed to fight off the enemies. The other changeling that was with us sadly did not survive the battle.
He got consumed. Believe it or not, this is the second worst option. Things could have been much worse. What are you guys' goals and plans? We're currently within this, what appears to be some sort of pit, some sort of strange jail-like area. What do you guys do?
Well, this appears to be some way out. I would simply look to my companions and point in this general direction and start making my way over there while keeping a close eye on all these fallen, nasty creatures and giving a particularly sad look at the one where the changeling used to be before being devoured by whichever creature had done it.
What's this flesh beast up here? I've consumed your companion.
Blizzard is going to join in as he figured that the faster we are to get out of here, the quicker we can get to Yakistan.
Yes, but where is here?
That's where we're going to go outside, hopefully, and find out.
Excellent. As you approach what seems to be a ramshackle ramp that leads down into the snow, it is cold and bitter here, while inside it is warm.
Well, we might as well venture out to the snow and see what the landscape is, at least.
Well, I'm going to walk out very, very slowly, and keep my eyes alert for anything that could possibly be a threat.
As you step out, I need everybody to roll me a mind. Blizzard Star, tell me how you learned this information. You are currently underground. Some sort of mining area, some sort of tunneling.
I looked up to see if there was any kind of sky or clouds or anything, but then I just see nothing but rocks. Rocks and rocks and rocks around.
You see that there is no sky above you, yet it seems that snow and ice continues to drip down upon you. When it hits the stone below, it begins to freeze.
Boy. This is going to be a bit of a problem.
Let me see what we've got. If we still have our cold weather clothing, which I would immediately put that on unless I was wearing it this whole time, which I would think I was,
Uh,
considering.
so, to be clear, you guys were teleported to this area. You walked in the middle of the bloodstones. Some sort of evil summoned you here. You're not quite sure who or what or why.
Hmm.
You did notice that on the gate prowler, he was about ready to take the changeling, and he was about to ready to activate the portal. But you guys stopped that. And as soon as he went down, all the other animals went wild and crazed. They began eating each other. And you guys. So,
Hmm. Well, I would like to see if the rocks have any kind of magical ability. Just to check.
which rocks? Which stones? Are you talking
Uh,
just like a general area or
yeah,
something
in the
specific?
mines,
Um,
because I'm
uh,
curious if it has any freezing capabilities.
so with your 8, you're not quite sure. Do you have any geography or geographical knowledge that you can call upon? Do you have a
I
book?
wish I could, but unfortunately I don't.
I'm wondering if
Uh,
my Tony of all trades can
it
call on
could,
some.
yes.
So here's
All trades could include mining. So yeah, that would work.
here's the Tony of all trades check.
Is it a crit? No, it's not a crit. Yes, you're very confident that this is not mined out. Some sort of creature bore it out. Some sort of incredibly hot creature. This isn't a natural stone. This seems to be like some sort of lava tube. As if some powerful creature walked through here and formed it. You're also aware of volcanic activity.
I write down on a slip of paper for my companions to see. A very large hot creature made this cavern.
You can see
Right,
the hoof marks.
so all the more reason for us to get the Celestia's flank out of here.
And with that, I look over what appears to be a passageway, hopefully out and not leading to other further parts of the whatever. Let's just get out of here.
With your 9, you're very confident that lava tubes can go for massive extents. Miles. Miles.
Well, wait,
Well, let's
Jim?
also let's check around here as well.
Sure.
Let's do so quickly.
Everybody roll me mind as you're looking around. Blizzard Star, you're very confident that this wood has been brought in and fixed to the ground. So whatever this creature did, other creatures came in behind and began constructing these massive walls and palisades. Some sort of fortress of some sort. As if to keep something at bay or to keep something in.
Hmm.
You also notice these huge fire pyres right here that are lit. and glowing.
I have this.
Also inside, you notice that these are torture devices. Seems to be a burning pit of some sort right here. Lava bubbles in and out of it. Right here appears to be a wheel rack, where they strap creatures down and break them on the wheel. You also see what appears to be some sort of spike pit. And here you see what appears to be some sort of cage. There's nothing inside any of them.
I have a theory as to what exactly this is meant for.
I look at you very attentively, silently.
Well, torture implements, making sure this area was tightly secured with no way out, and monsters that would be difficult to take on. I have a feeling this might have been either a prison or a torture facility to break any pony for any kind of information or simple joy of it.
I quickly write, why not both?
And that's true. The way, if this is a facility, if this place is used for holding prisoners, however, there might be others scattered around in these tunnel routes.
I simply shrug, but look again to the exit, eager to leave this place.
You're telling me. It's a
Listen,
shame we
sir,
can't find. Oh,
I need you to roll me a mind. Nah, your concerns are more about your whereabouts. Nothing else comes to mind.
yeah. I would have loved to figure out how this teleportation rune works, but let's just get out of here.
I can take a quick look at this fallen gate prowler and see what I can deduce from observations.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me a mind as you attempt to identify this creature. Oh, that's really good. Yep, okay. You know everything about this creature. Give me a second. Copy and paste. Enter. A gate prowler. Has a body of a D12, mind of a D12, charm of a D12, talents are gate phasing at a D12, teleport, multiple attacks, bites, claws, stop teleportation spell. Quirks is nervous, servant of cruelty, eats meat, cruel. Weak to kindness, hatred of grimlock prowlers. Gate prowlers are otherworldly carnivores from cruelty's home plane of existence. They are thrown in fighting and pit fights for those amusements of their masters. Only the most vile and insidious prowlers survive the pits and serve on the front lines of cruelty's war efforts.
I would summarize that info to my companions on another sheet of paper.
Boy. At least that's one creature to worry about later in the line.
Unfortunately, with it dead, as I'm saying in my head here, I don't think there's any way we can get its dead body to activate a teleport out of here.
Well, we better get hoofing then.
Indeed.
Where do you go?
Towards the exit.
Excellent. So everybody gather right here.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have, what is it, that skill which allows you to automatically know where north, south, east, west is?
I can again call on my pony of trades to see if I can get a sense of direction.
Okay. Yes. You guys know that you are currently heading south. You also know that you are heading down what appears to be some sort of roll me a D1, 2, 3, 4. Roll me a d6. Let's see where you head to.
Do you want me to roll for you,
Roll
or
one.
do you? Oh, okay.
He's got.
Because I was the one who made the skill. I was the one who made the skill check to determine which way.
Oh, okay.
You head towards what appears to be. Let's see here. You guys will be right here. This is where it gets colder instead of warmer. You guys are heading south, but you realize quickly that the temperature is rising, or cooling, not rising, as if you are heading towards the surface. Is this where you wish to go? There is still time to go back.
Well, there's something up ahead there as well.
You see a glow in the darkness. Need everybody roll me mind. Well, Blizzard Star, you know exactly what this is.
Okay.
Blizzard Star, you know that this is a trap of some sort. It has no body. It only has a mind. It has no charm. Its talent is 1d12 of shield. Its quirks is that it's unliving. It's a defense pilot that can only cast the spell Force Field Shield. Force Field Spell. Protect allies, blocks, and pushes enemies back outside their shield radius. This is a defense pylon.
And if I have to take a wild guess, these defense pylons are going to keep us from proceeding.
You don't. Well, is that a fact or an assumption? And how big is the radius?
That's a
Well,
d12.
is it assumption?
Yeah. You know that it is quite powerful. So if it crits, it can block a town. It normally doesn't do that. To be clear, it normally doesn't do that. It appears currently inactive right now. However, it glows with power. You can see it in the darkness glowing.
Well, Blizzard is going to inform his companions about this information.
I would simply point to this general direction and start very slowly making my way over to this general area until it looks like we've hit a wall. And with that, just start walking very slowly past it and watching for any changes that it might make.
Nothing appears to happen as you approach the defense pylon.
Not going to do anything to provoke it. Just go
As,
by very carefully.
as you guys are walking one by one, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd have a stick close together.
Oh, you guys are sitting close together. Stop right there, and it begins to thrum.
That's where.
Okay, as you
that's
guys
where
approach.
That's where I motion for them to back away, back off.
Okay. As luminescence begins to back off, thrumming dies.
Okay. Let's see now. I come up to here. I then motion for luminescence to approach it very carefully and watch what it does.
As luminescence approaches, the thrumming begins to start up again.
And again, I signal for luminescence to back off.
Luminescence backs away.
Let's see. Is luminescence creating a glowing light? Correct.
So I need you to roll me a mind.
Right.
You're not sure what's going on.
Let me see if I can spend one token to re-roll this.
Sure. Yes, you are quite confident, no name, that you are ponies. It only activates to certain creatures, and because luminescence is a changeling, it thrums with power, as if to activate a defense.
I then signal for luminescence to shapeshift into a pony. Doesn't matter what kind.
He does so.
And with that, have luminescence walk forward once again very slowly.
As he transforms, let me just put it one over the other. There we go. As he transforms, the thrumming continues, as if it is not swayed by the transformation.
Ugh. How high is the ceiling?
In this particular area, I'd say anywhere between 10 to 15 feet due to the stalactites and stalagmites.
So there's no
And these are water ice shards. These are not naturally forming stalagmites and stalactites. This is dripping water over time.
I'd like to do a little test if it's alright.
Shoot.
Blizzard is going to move towards the pylon slowly. See exactly what will happen.
Nothing happens.
Closer.
Nothing happens.
Close enough to where he's right next to the pylon.
You're right next to the pylon. You hear nothing. Luminescence approaches, and then you hear a thrum begin.
Oh. Luminescence, stay back. Since I know about this pylon, do I also know its weakness?
Yes, would you really roll the crit? Yeah. So you know that this is a guardian, like a trap device, specifically designed to keep creatures that are not ponies out.
Okay. Then is there any way for it to be disarmed?
Roll me a mind. Let's see here. The DC on it would probably be 12 because it's DC 12. So you are like looking around the pylon and you can't see anything.
What about the orb on top of it?
It appears to be attached to it.
Can it be removed?
Roll me a strength. The ice resists you, keeping the orb stuck onto the defense pylon.
Let me see. I will slowly approach.
Nothing happens.
And I will... Is there a way I can get on the other side of it here?
Oh, yes, very much so.
I will see about assisting Blizzard in this by very carefully attempting to lift it out.
Roll me an upgrade dice.
My body is already at the max, so
okay.
Upgrade one step doesn't even count. Well, let's see what happens.
So you're like spinning it, right? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Well, you spin it the wrong way, right? And it begins to thrum as it's powering up.
And I will attempt to spin it back to where it was.
Sure.
Just put it back exactly where.
Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Oh shit!
Pretty much.
Yep.
And I will make another attempt. All this time, I will try to go the other way, so to speak.
So this is a skill challenge. Go ahead and give me that body roll. The DC is 12 as you're trying to deactivate it.
I will see if Blizzard can assist me on this.
Indeed.
Okay.
And also if Violet can also assist.
Violet, are you going to approach this, or you want no part of it? What could possibly go wrong? If it's a trap or a defense pylon, what could possibly go wrong?
I'd rather have no part in it.
Okay. You approach. What do you guys do as you're like eyeballing this?
We're going the other. We're turning it the other way very carefully.
Sure.
And watching for anything like before.
Okay. So the defense pylon begins to activate. Roll initiative, everybody.
Oh boy.
Well, it's a defense pylon, so it's supposed to do what it's doing. It's a D12. 4. Okay. All right, Violet, what'd you get? Oh, poor Blizzard Star.
Mm-hmm.
Violet Shy, roll me a body. See what you got. A 2. Okay. Top to bottom, let's get started. Pony with no name, you're up first. You hear it begin to thrum violently and beginning to shake. Magical energies beginning to swirl about it. What do you do?
What would you think we should just keep turning at it or just try to destroy it? I just make quick gesture. I will kick at it.
Excellent, kick it. Excellent. Tell me how you knock this over. Destroy it.
I just give it a kick, not knowing what else.
I'm done with this.
Not exactly, probably not the best thing, but hey, Wolverine set off an alarm once with his metal claws, so he just punched through it and shut it off for him, and that took care of the problem once.
Stupid magic. You just like push it over. The glass falls onto the ice or the crystal ball that eliminates the magic falls and shatters upon the floor, ending the encounter.
And I breathe a sigh of relief for the moment.
Sometimes I forget the hooves methods is better than knowledge.
Luminescence nods in appreciation, returns back to his form. So yeah, that's strange.
I just give a bit of a slight shiver in the moment, but nevertheless look down the tunnel and continue pressing forward.
Once again, you see what appears to... Oh, hold me in mind. This area of the tunnel is different slightly. Yes. Yes, Blizzard Star, tell me how you know that this is a mixture of mining.
A mixture of mining?
No. The walls have the tools of mining. So something or someone was picking at the walls. It has tool marks. This was not created by a large monster. This was actually made by hands or hooves.
Blizzard, when he spotted the tools, realized that maybe this lava creature that his friend was talking about was more a witness of ponies using their engineering capabilities, like those machines we encountered back in the forest.
I simply shrug, as it's a possibility.
But Blizzard began to think and wonder, is anyone else finding this a little odd? The pylons was emitting when alpha and luminescence was around it.
I simply nod in acknowledgement, though in my
And
head I cannot think of why changelings and not regular ponies like the rest of us.
not only that, remember how that gate creature or whatever wanted to get his hands on the changeling that we couldn't save?
Indeed.
Almost like he really wanted to happen. You think it's possible that they're targeting changelings for something?
Well, I simply nod, as if thinking they certainly wanted that changeling alive, and this device was set up not to attack but to keep them contained. So therefore, yeah, there is some reason why they want changelings.
Hmm.
They want them alive. But
Um,
with that, I would just simply look onward.
Blizzard would nod, then follow his friend.
While giving a back look at Luminescence with a hint of concern on his face.
You continue into the darkness. What do you do?
You just continue on slowly and listening for anything odd.
Well,
And we're
spot
staying
anything odd.
staying close together here. We're not. Oops, is that a dead end there? Looks like. I would also motion for Luminescence not to get too far ahead, especially if we run into more of those things.
Oop.
I just moved. Stop moving.
Everybody's chasing after each other. Wait, Luminous, wait, don't get too far ahead. You're like walking on top of each other. You hear with a gentle pitter patter of water in the ground. Other than that, you don't notice anything. It is quiet like the grave.
Well, we're keeping things silent here too.
You guys can hear each other breathing in the quiet.
We're trying not to make any noise, as much noise as possible if we can help it.
The gloom seems to be intense.
And suddenly my window just crashed. So reloading.
Yeah, that happened to mine as well.
I'm good still here. I'll wait for you guys to relog.
I just saw it. Okay, there we are, right there. There I am.
You come upon what appears to be some sort of fork in the road with multiple branches.
Okay. I stop a moment to listen for anything out of the ordinary along any of them.
Sure, roll me a mind as you try to listen to the depths.
Come on, thing.
Okay, 18. To the south, you hear the crackling of ice. To the west, you hear the splashing of water and the stink of some sort of animal with a musky smell. To the east, you hear the rattle of bones.
You know, the rattling bones make me very unwell, and the other area smells very foul as it is. I would point to the southern one, the one that doesn't smell as bad, just like Gandalf the Wizard once said. So
You head south.
I'd recommend we head south.
You come upon what appears to be a broken wall made of some sort of unnatural stone. Something or someone must have blocked this off.
Can I examine it?
Sure.
Hold on, let me follow mine.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely. Something or someone mined this out, but then tried to refill the hole. It looks like, you're not quite sure, the hole was filled in from the inside. So somebody wanted to keep people or ponies out, not to allow people or ponies in.
Well, whoever did this wanted to make sure that they stay in there.
I look to luminescence in question.
Luminescence shrugs.
As if indicating again, changelings being contained here, but not ponies.
I doubt it's the same one that we were encountering. This was making sure no creature, changelings or ponies alike, will get in.
Luminescence tells you that changelings generally don't build walls; they take over stuff.
Not to mention, now that it comes to mind, they can shapeshift into large monstrous creatures if they wanted to, which could easily hopefully dig through whatever this is.
Possibly, but...
Blizzard Star, you know this was designed to keep people out, not to allow people in, or ponies in.
Right, I get... Right. Is there any way for us to get inside?
Sure.
I would think with your magic, I would look to you and Violet as unicorns. You'd probably have some ability to telekinetically move that or blast a way through with magical energy.
Well,
yeah, surely you're blasting in the right way so as to not prevent an avalanche or worse, a worse cave-in.
well, I believe it's best if we use levitation. Blasting may be the fastest, it still has a likely chance of causing unnecessary damage. So Blizzard lights up his horn and starts to try and pick up one piece one by one.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me a telekinesis. Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. The passageway opens up for you.
Blizzard will be the
Should be
first
able
to
to walk
enter.
through. Who's going to be the first one in?
I will
Excellent.
go. I will follow Blizzard here.
Blizzard Star, you are greeted by what appears to be a willowy wisp.
A willow what?
Like a willowy wisp of a creature.
Oh.
Pony size.
Oh.
Nope. It's willowy and wispy, but it's definitely not a will-o-wisp.
Oh.
Blizzard Star, you know exactly what this is.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a ghost.
Blizzard is a little surprised about it.
Ghosts, however, it does not appear to be hostile and seems to be just floating there. It is a ghost, has the body of a D10, a mind of a D8, a charm of a D10. Its talents as those fly, is a friendship thief, insubstantial, and screams. Its weakness is sunlight. Special friendship thieves, blah, blah, blah. Then it tells you what the friendship thief does. It is an insubstantial creature. You can or not solid as normal ponies. Perhaps you are jelly-like or insubstantial. This is what you are aware of, as this ghost seems to just be staring at you. It takes no violent movement towards you.
Well, I stare back at it for a moment, a bit concerned, but at the same time, not doing anything. I also take a look at my surroundings to see if there's any other passageways or walls here.
Sure, go ahead and keep looking around.
Well, since the ghost was looking at Blizzard and he really had no idea or experience of these kinds of entities, so
Okay.
Blizzard decides to wave at it and say, greetings?
And meanwhile, I
Stairs
think,
at you
well, I
blankly.
just noticed the second one. But at the same time, I simply do my best to not provoke it.
Excellent.
I
They
just
stare
turn
at
around
you.
the other way. I just turn around the other way and just continue inspecting these walls. And this appears to be a wall here.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, well, with that, I simply go over here, walk around this way, and there appears to be some more bit there.
Appears to be even more stone has been blocked. As if something or something was trying to block it in. Blizzard Star, as you're like examining this ghost, and this ghost is just looking at you, right? I need you to roll me one more mind to identify this type of pony. It's fairly simple.
Crap, I don't have any more friendship tokens.
Well, don't forget,
to-
everybody gets 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1,
Oh.
5. 5 tokens of friendship at the beginning of each game. Or the number of players plus the DM.
Well,
So
I would like
should
to
have
spend
5.
one
Sure, go
to
ahead.
roll.
Yeah, you actually succeed. You think that this is a crystal pony. You're not quite confident due to its insubstantial form, but you're fairly confident that this was once a crystal pony.
Blizzard decides to try something.
Sure.
Don't suppose he speaks to the ghost and asks, don't suppose you could understand me. Can you, my friend?
It nods its head yes. It continues to stare at you blankly.
Then, may I ask, who are you? Or do you not have any memory of that?
It opens its mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. Having no lungs or incapable of producing any sound, it simply mouths.
Blizzard then had an idea and asked his friend, do you think it's possible if I borrow one page and your pencil to see if they could interact with objects?
Let's think about this carefully. Let's see what I can try to visualize here. A quick sketch, let's see, draws a quick sketch of two ponies. One having its other hoof raised up in peace and friendship.
It stares at you.
And I present it to the ghost.
It like nods.
All right.
It begins to point at your pen and paper.
I gently hold them out.
It draws a symbol that you are quite familiar with. A dragon, a spider, a yak, and what was the other thing? Give me a second here, guys. And a unicorn. Something's different about this unicorn, though. I need you guys to roll me a mind. No name. You quickly realize that it's not a unicorn. It's actually an alicorn.
I would indicate both the horn and the wing. I would point to both the horn and the wings that were just drawn on the body to my companions, indicating that it is an alicorn.
The ghost nods its head.
Blizzards then ask, "What were you doing here? And what happened?"
It draws a shield.
You were protecting something?
It writes down a symbol. See if you guys know what this is. It appears to be a skull. Actually, roll me a mind. Skull. Oh, you know exactly what this is. As a matter of fact, Blizzard started quickly bringing it all together.
Okay.
It matches the story that you've already know of.
Wait. Tablets. Massive stone.
I look at this picture again, and that's where I get the idea of looking back towards the western entrance where the foul smell was coming from.
The ghost has no idea what you're saying.
I'm just looking back. I haven't communicated anything yet, but I actually gesture to my companions the symbol of the yak on the picture, and then I gesture in the direction of the passageway, and then also make a gesture of something stinks.
Okay.
And I point to the yaks again, because yaks are known for being somewhat smelly at times.
Okay, and this is out of character, but I'm kind of lost here because I get the the cave, the yak, the symbols that we all saw in the waterfall, but I'm trying to figure out what else is there.
Whereas I point to the passageway where there was the sound of bones, and I then point to the skull-like symbol on the dragon's left wing, as well as even the spider.
Okay. Lizard then asks the spirit, were you trying to protect your home? Like we are trying now?
The ghost points to here and draws a shield.
I
Snowden.
would then walk up to it and turn around to face the ghost and watch for its expression. I would lift up a hoof as if to kick at it and look for the ghost to see how it reacts.
The ghost motions indifferent.
Okay, so trying to think of what would be a good symbol for danger. I would draw a skull on a sheet of paper with an arrow pointing at the direction of the wall and show it to the ghost, as if to say, is danger ahead?
The ghost knows knows exactly what you're saying, and the ghost points at. Give me a second. The symbol of the dragon with a compass at its heart. It also points at the alicorn.
Blizzard began to take a deep breath and decide to head over to the pile that the ghost pointed to and started moving these away.
Roll me a telekinesis.
And I'm watching I'm watching the ghost to see how it reacts.
You easily move the shards out of the way. The ghosts make no movement to stop you. They continue to watch and observe.
All right. Well, with that, I will see about not so much kicking at it, but simply using my Earth Pony's strength to assist in moving the rubble away, in a more controlled way.
It's cool. You guys can easily walk through. With the 12, you made it through. Yep.
I'll go Blizzard, so I'll be the one to go first.
You were greeted by more ghosts.
Blizzard nods to them and says, might I ask, who are you?
Need you to roll me a mind as they stare at you.
Can I re-roll that?
You actually are fairly confident that these are crystal ponies as well.
Oh. I suppose that can work.
You're familiar with these creatures. They're quite resemblant to you. The DC is only 6, so you're fine. You're fairly confident that these are crystal pony ghosts.
Right.
What? Well, if they are indeed the same ones, I just place one hoof over my heart and just give a slight bow to them as a gesture of peace, non-hostility.
They nod and reply.
Right, so yes.
Snow then asks, where is the shield? As he points to the symbol that the other ghost has made.
They gesture. To point you south, east.
I nod once again, this time in gratitude, and start accompanying Blizzard here. And noticing these more ghosts, but again, I just give them peaceful nods, acknowledging their presence and not doing anything to provoke them.
Roll me a telekinesis as you attempt to open the next area.
And I will attempt to assist him using regular Earth Pony strength.
Not a problem. For his telekinesis, he's just like, bloop, 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 bloop. You're just like impressed with his magical abilities of just moving rock. The rocks are not dangerous in any way. They're just simply stones that are moved. You know that they are shaped. To be clear, you are very confident that whatever it was shaped this. I need both of you guys to roll me mind as you quickly realize the temperature is beginning to drop around here. Nah, everything's fine.
Shall I do the same?
Yep, you're feeling the effects too. No name, you're starting to feel a chill in the air. This continues, it'll feel colder and colder the deeper you go. Is it the dead, or is it your own nerves that is playing tricks on you?
I definitely look to Blizzard, and I just give him a very visualized shiver. Just like bring my teeth together in a slight shatter, and that look of someone looks when they're very cold.
Blizzard then decides to do something that can help and use one of the pebbles to start a little fire for him. Like have the pebble be coated in flame to warm us up a bit.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me, I don't know, a fire spell? What are you trying to do here?
Mm-hmm. A fire spell.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me a second here. Yeah. Sorry, you close enough? No, you're not. I don't think so. Give me a second. No, you're fine. Your fire spell ignites a pebble, easily warming it. You make it through the next area. Once again, you are greeted by ghosts who stare at you passively.
And once again, I just acknowledge them.
Blizzard waves to them and says, "Hello."
They stare at you blankly.
Blizzard then points to the same symbol that the previous ghost has illustrated and asks, "Are we close to the sealed?"
They put up the symbol 2, as if 2 more rooms yet await you.
Blizzard then nods and says, "Thank you."
I'm actually pondering, doing a quick sketch of the dragon, and with that, I put a symbol of, put a skull on one side of it, here's the picture of the dragon and symbols of the fall. On the lower right, I put a skull, danger, and on the other side, I'll just put a symbol of peace. And with arrows pointing to it, and a question mark.
Not fully understanding what you're saying, because there's already a skull on the map, right? The symbol of a great evil. It shakes its head no as you point to the skull of great evil.
And I then point to the symbol of peace and then point to the dragon. Is it to say, is this dragon dangerous to us, or is it not dangerous to us?
It shrugs. I'm not sure. Like, okay, so how I would interpret it, right? How the crystal pony, the ghost crystal pony, interprets. So you show the dragon, plus a great evil, plus a peace sign, and it like just like shakes its head no.
Blizzard,
And to find a way to
Blizzard,
communicate if the dragon is peace is an enemy to is a danger to us, or if it isn't.
You tell me.
That's what I'm trying to discern.
Blizzard then walk up to one of the ghosts and ask, "What dangers are awaiting us?"
It draws a skull and crossbones.
So a deadly enemy.
It nods in reply.
I think I would think after that I would simply nod in response and gesture to Blizzard saying we should go back.
It points to the
Can't.
outward.
You know, I want to believe that these ponies are trying to tell us that there is death ahead if we go further. I want to believe they're trying to warn us to go back.
Wait. Blizzard then asks, "Does this alicorn, is her magic that of cold ice?"
It shows a symbol of love.
Well, Princess, the Princess of Love, Cadence.
Yes. Exactly like her cutie mark.
Crystal Heart.
When you say that, it opens its eyes as if you said something important.
We were sent here to help her daughter, Princess Flurryheart, to protect the Crystal Empire. They are being attacked by, and Blizzard decides to draw the symbol that was cursed upon him, saying, by a being of cruelty.
I will
As you
also
show him the symbol of your cruelty, it points at the great evil.
I would also help out by drawing a picture, a rough sketch of the Crystal Empire itself, like the tall structures indicating the Crystal Towers. And if memory serves, it's basically under siege, is it not?
No, not the Crystal Empire. Crystal Empire is safe. You guys broke its siege and defeated cruelty. However, Yakistan is currently under siege.
Well, with that, yeah, I will actually do a quick sketch of Yakistan, those distinct structures like the horns of the yak, and then I will draw a bunch of pictures like swords and spears and angry faces surrounding it.
The ghost points to the yak, the spider, the unicorn, and then the dragon.
The unicorn and the dragon in that order.
Blizzard thought about it and asked the ghost, "Were you guards for the Crystal Empire?"
It shakes its head no. But he points at the symbol of love, and then the unicorn.
Princess.
And then in the
Blizzard
words of
adds. Oh, go ahead.
in the words of another famous alien civilization, Shaka, when the walls fell.
Blizzard started to try and think out loud, like talking to himself while he's thinking. If Princess Cadence, the spirits who know Princess Cadence and the Princess of Love, then they
It
must have
doesn't
had
seem to
some-
recognize any of that. Doesn't seem to recognize any of that. Shows you once again Princess Cadence's cutie mark. And then points to the wall.
Blizzard walks up to the wall and starts to use his telekinesis again.
It once again draws a shield.
I will then gesture for Blizzard to stop and point to the ghost pony taking up a defensive position.
Blizzard had to say, "But friend, we need to find out what's going on. This could be important. This could be what we need to defeat cruelty."
I would shake my head having listened to that and scribble quickly, we don't know that for sure. We don't know what we're dealing with.
It points to the great evil when you say cruelty.
We get it. Only if I knew your names. I get it. The great evil. It's cruelty. It's the elements of disharmony. It's. If only I had my brother, or Celestia forbid, if the shining armor I kept hearing about was that great and could help us, or even guide us, or give us something.
I simply shake my head at Blizzard and write, this is our quest, not theirs. We have to trust each other. We have to solve this problem ourselves. But I don't believe we can always come back here.
Blizzard decides to take a deep breath and walked up to the spirit and present a paper to it and ask, "Can I at least know your name?"
It shrugs. And all it can simply write down is shield.
I simply nod and write to it, may we call you Shield.
It seems to make no difference to this creature.
All right. Since it cannot give a name, we can always give it one. So let us just call this pony Shield for the moment. It is not meant as an insult. Simply some means to identify.
It points at the wall, and then the crystal heart that you had shown it, and then the dragon, and then the unicorn. It points at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard then states, "There's something my folks used to say. follow your heart. My heart is telling me, even though there's dangers ahead of that wall, we need to follow through. After all, we sign up to this quest, standing up against cruelty, knowing Tartarus above that was going to be dangerous.
The question is, are we ready?
If it's too much, then we will leave.
Is it that easy? One thing, and I'm writing all these.
I don't know. It wasn't easy when we took on cruelty. But hey, sometimes we're either lucky or just...
You mean when you ran him over with a frickin' train?
Mm-hmm. I was lucky. But I have faith that you, me, all of our companions will look out for each other.
But there are still other options to explore the rest of this cave.
Perhaps. But...
We can always come back.
And what if we can't?
What makes you think we can't?
Because, for one thing, we don't know where we are. And you said yourself, we only went down here because you smelled something a little off, or...
That's where I point to the picture of the yak. I could perhaps ask one of these ponies. I point to the picture of the yak, point in the direction of the cave where the foul smell was coming from, and again point to the yak. And I make a question, and I write a question mark.
It nods. It shakes its head no at what you suggest. But then once again, it shows you the unicorn dragon points at the wall.
I'm not exactly in top shape.
Neither am I.
But
Go ahead.
all right. Let's be ready. Well, I can't think of anything else for the time being.
You may easily move the stones out of the way and pass. A ghost looks up to you as you approach in the light.
Blizzard
Stares at you.
nods to it and says, "We encountered your friends before. I hope you're doing well yourself."
I write
Draws the
quick.
shield.
I simply
Shield.
write quickly. Yeah, I write quickly. May we pass?
Shield, unicorn, dragon.
Blizzard used the symbols that the other ghost has made and says, "The others have talked about the shield, the unicorn, and the dragon. Do you know where the shield is?"
It like scratches its head as you say this.
Well, I simply write that note. May we pass?
It nods its head.
Thank you.
And
As
from
you turn
there,
the corner, you notice what appears to be skeletons, fully formed and motionless. In the light, you see hundreds, if not thousands, of skeletons down here.
Are they hostile?
They seem to stare at you with a blank, lidless eyes that creep in with every death. Like the ghost, they seem motionless and simply stare at you.
Blizzard nods the undead. He does feel a little unnerved, but since he was peaceful so far, he did not want to intrude nor bring any disruption to them.
They continue to stare at you, unmoving, unshaken.
and this is definitely bringing back memories for me of my hometown. I have a look, that slight look of fear, but also that incredible sadness, mixed with great compassion. But at the same time, I don't. I stay close to Blizzard and do not do anything to provoke them.
Blizzard decides to pat his friend on the back and tries to give him comfort.
I simply nod in acknowledgement.
You see what appears to be another ghost staring at you.
Blizzard nods to the ghost. He then shows the ghost the symbols that his previous companions was telling them about and asks, what are these?
Let me see here. It pushes you
It pushes.
away. Yep, pushes you away.
Blizzard looks confused and asks, did I do something wrong?
Yep, attempts to push you away. It's wispy. It just whoosh. Go ahead and attempt to resist it as it just pushes you.
No, I'm not going to resist.
And just roll me a body. See what happens.
What? I mean, okay, but like I said, I wasn't resisting.
I will actually move up this way for the moment.
Okay, so I guess if you're not resisting, it pushes you back. Okay.
Okay.
I simply look to it peacefully and just continue to go another direction. Although Blizzard, I'd rather have you be up close nearby me.
Yeah, Blizzard will avoid the ghosts and stay close to his companion.
And then we just continue going onward here. Noticing some other undead ponies here, I would then shift this direction away from them.
You quickly realize how outnumbered you are.
We're not going.
They
I am not
stare
going to
at you
do. I am not
blankly.
going to do. I am not going to do anything to provoke them. I'm making no move of hostility, only peace.
No name. I think you need to roll me a mind as you quickly discover how many undead there are. Yeah, you're confident that there's thousands.
And it looks like they are preventing us from going further in this direction. So with that, I will simply turn around very slowly and walk the other way.
Blizzard Star, I think you need to roll me a mind too as you quickly discover what this is.
Can I reroll?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you're fairly confident that this is probably like a regiment of some sort.
A what?
A regiment,
A
an
regiment.
army.
Okay, yeah, an army of undead. Whew. I'm getting Return of the King vibes. Only those
Indeed.
ghosts were definitely more hostile. Only when they recognized who Aragorn was. Once again, we're just okay. From the see, I can't. Let's see if I can take a center spot here. Nope. Just trying to get myself. Okay, there are more right that way, so I will simply do that here.
Yeah, you have no idea.
They are just lining the walls here, basically.
There's more.
If there are any
Yep.
further passageways in, they appear to be blocking them all.
The only difference seems to be where the ghosts are. The ghost pushed you away.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Well, I don't think the ghosts cared for Blizzard, so
I will simply walk. I will simply walk right here and then stop.
You see what appears to be some sort of wall blocking your path. Unlike the other ones, this one seems to be meticulously well maintained. And this is by far the hardest wall that you've seen. This isn't rubble stocked up against it. This is an actual fortification of some sort.
I am looking to the ghost to make sure that it knows that I'm watching it. And I then look at this very solid wall. But I make no move to touch it or do anything. I am simply studying it.
The ghost seems to not care currently as you
Well,
walk
again,
around
I
and
will
touch it with your
walk
hoof.
up here, but again, I am not touching it. When then seeing an undead pony, I will very politely back away and then simply rejoin Blizzard.
Blizzard decides to try one more time to talk with the ghost and thought about something. The undead that was lined up, the guards being respectful and not attacking. Blizzard decides to introduce himself with a nod and give the ghost a salute.
Roll me a charm. The ghost salutes you back. You recognize this salute as a crystal guard.
Blizzard decides to write the symbol of the crystal heart and the mark of cruelty, and trying to convey that the Crystal Empire, along with others, are being threatened by evil.
The ghost nods in understanding. It gestures to the wall.
I would then point to the symbol of cruelty. I would actually draw the symbol. I'd take a sheet of paper, draw that symbol of cruelty on one side of the paper, and then draw a line meant to resemble the wall, and
Shakes its
then
head no.
draw some symbols indicating us.
It shows unicorn, dragon.
Well, Blizzard
Shield.
nods to him. Blizzard nods to the ghost again and gave a salute back as he walks towards the wall that the ghost pointed to.
I was basically making an illustration as if to ask, is cruelty on the other side of this wall? By drawing the symbol of cruelty and then us and then a line, some line as if to indicate a wall.
It shakes its head no, and it shows crystal heart. Shield. Unicorn. Dragon.
Once again, I am not touching it or doing anything of the sort.
The ghost walks up behind you and attempts to push you. Are you going to stop it?
I do not resist it.
I need you to roll me a body as it pushes you through the wall using its unsubstantial. It succeeds. You are pushed through the other side. It walks up to you. Blizzard, are you ready?
I gave the ghost a nod and gave him a salute, showing that he was ready.
It pushes you. You make it through. You easily pass through the wall of ice. It is extremely cold in here.
Snow decides to kind of blow on his hooves to warm them up a bit, but still determined to see this through.
And I'm adjusting my cold weather clothing to make sure that it's properly adjusted.
Because of your cold weather equipment, you do not have to take any penalties here. Once again, you see what appears to be more undead skeletons staring at you.
And once again, I simply acknowledge them. I'm letting them know that we know that they're there. We see them, and that we are not hostile.
Blizzard gives them a nod and follows his friend.
These crystal ponies, undead creatures, do not take any hostile action towards you and stare at you.
I'm making note, and I'm definitely doing the same thing.
You enter into what appears to be some sort of grand chamber of some sort. In the distance, you can see sparkling of something distant and golden, something shiny and beautiful. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Make sure I find the right voice. Let's mute myself real quick. Hello? 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 No? Hello? 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 No, it's not. Hello? It's not it. Hello? Who goes there? Hello? 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 Okay. All right, it's not set up. That's fine. Oh, that's fine. I thought I had the voice set up, but apparently there was an update and it axed all this stuff.
Ah,
Okay. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. From the shadows appears to be what appears to be a female unicorn. Um, she approaches you and says, "Who goes there?"
just two ponies that wants to save the Crystal Empire from an element of disharmony.
You have come to the right place. How may I assist you?
We've
I
been
am
hearing of.
Princess Miyamura.
You mean
I
Princess?
oh,
Oh,
I bow
well,
very. I first bow very politely and write, "I have no name, but I am a friend. Who are you?"
I am Princess Amora, the spirit of her. My body was shattered long ago.
Blizzard takes a bow and asks, "Wouldn't you be? There is another princess, Princess Cadence and Flurry Heart. Do you know them, Miss?"
No, I know not of whom you speak.
I would simply write in response to her statement of how her body was shattered and all that. How did that happen?
I once paid my faith into a young Sombra who turned my body into glass and shattered me.
Blizzard then realized that. So, you were the previous ruler before King Sombra ruled his tyranny against the Crystal Empire.
My legacy goes back further than that.
Then the ponies that are still lingering here, were they your gods that was loyal to you?
They were servants who fought alongside me against cruelty.
I simply nod, believing that I am understanding. I would then
Blizzard,
write that cruelty has returned and is attacking Yakistan.
That is impossible.
I'm afraid it is true. And Blizzard decides to show the princess the curse mark that was bestowed upon him. Cruelty is back.
That is the mark of cruelty, indeed. You have been marked and scarred.
Indeed.
You have brought great evil here.
But
He now knows of my presence.
I
and
want
will
to fix
move
that.
to strike me down.
Blizzard then says, but I want to fix that. I want to bring down cruelty. To stop him. To stop any pony else from being harmed by that creature. If that means I have to sacrifice my own life just to make sure he doesn't, then I will make sure that the Crystal Empire, Equestria, Pakistan, everywhere in this planet can
You
feel
have
safe.
done more harm than anyone could have ever imagined. Even now, the element of disharmony stares upon us. He watches you, and you have been better spy than any other.
No. I believe that I can show him I am not a puppet. I can fight him. After all, my brother was cursed by him once, and he found a way to turn that curse to something that he fears.
I
He
simply
will
write.
not let you. He will stop you and crush this cavern.
I
All
will
that
simply
once
write.
fought against him will perish here. Our champion has fallen.
I do not believe that. A champion may rest, but another can take his place, and another one will be able to stand up to the challenge and proclaim himself a champion for not just the Crystal Empire, but to harmony itself.
And how will you do this?
How?
How?
By being with my friends. Same friends that still stand by my side. My friend here, as the Blizzard points to his friend No Name. Even though he lost so much, he still stands tall. Even when he know that I was cursed, he still stand by my side. That is what it means to stand up against cruelty. That's something I learned from my brother when he was training to be a guardsman. A guardsman is only as strong as his comrades before him. Even a champion needs friends.
All you say is true. How I defeated cruelty before was through love, compassion, kindness.
And that's in the moment where I reach up and touch the pink crystal rose. Yep, the pink crystal rose given by.
Winter Rose?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yes, the symbol of love, crafted to perfection.
I would then write that note to her. How can I help?
If what you say or if you are the new champion, then we are doomed. But we need the crystal heart to revive our champion. And since cruelty knows of your movements and has presented yourself to me, He now knows where to find me.
I would then write,
My
How may we-
ghosts and
how may we leave?
skeletons will be no match for him.
I would then write quickly, how may we leave this place?
You would leave us undefended, even though you have brought such terror upon us. Worse than death.
Blizzard then states, "You underestimate your ponies. From what I'm seeing, the ghosts and skeletons they are more than meets the eye. If anything, they are more of a match. Because they are still showing that even through death, they stand tall, ready to defend, and ready to take action against cruelty."
I would then simply write, would you have us stand with you against them?
Cruelty will not come himself. He will send others to do his dirty work, just as he has sent you.
No, he didn't. If anything, he barely even knows I existed. In fact, before we arrived at the Crystal Empire, he laid seeds into the Crystal City, where he was defeated. Even though it was by luck, he was there.
I would simply shake my head and say to Blizzard, and write to Blizzard, it was not that easy.
Cruelty may not be defeated through force of arms.
If he truly was defeated, we would not be having so much trouble as we have.
As I recall, no strength of arms can defeat cruelty. Not even dragonfire.
Dragonfire?
Not
You
even
mean-
love could stop him.
And then I then write, but love can.
Only kindness.
Blizzard then asked one very important thing to the princess. Even though I've been cursed, and you call me a danger to everything, do you think that a pony that has been cursed can be redeemed and so that he truly means what he means?
Only through actions and deeds. Words have little meaning to the crimes you have committed against us.
I would then hold out my hoof to her in friendship. Not knowing whether she can make physical contact or not, I am at least making the gesture of friendship with my hoof out, one hoof out, the other over the crystal rose given to me by Winter Rose.
I think this is where Princess Amora comes up to you, Blizzard Star, and attempts to remove your curse.
Blizzard
And-
not only lets it, but he also said, "If what you said is true about action speaks louder than words, then, if you want, you can end my life here if you wanted. Just know that even though you may say that I have been a danger to all of us, I have meant it when I said I wanted to
And
help."
And if there's anything I can do in this matter, that is where I would reach out and take his hoof in my own while clutching the crystal rose heart around my neck and just opening my heart to both my friend and to Princess Amor. I just open my heart to them.
As you work in unison, you can feel the curse being removed for you as she really grasps your flank And you can feel like this like burning sensation in this wound starting to close as she like slowly like rips it off. And she holds it like a fire, right? The fire of which you were branded with. And it slowly dissipates within her hoof as she stares at you and she says, "Your curse has been removed."
But I still feel the burden that, like you said, I caused enough trouble. So allow me to try and redeem myself. And the first action is by standing against cruelty. You said he would attack this sanctuary. Then allow me to help defend it. It is only one step towards redeeming myself.
I also give a very polite bow of gratitude to Princess Amor for what she just did, and I then stomp my hooves into the ground as a gesture of I am prepared to do the same, like standing to attention like a soldier would.
Come with me. She begins going into the darkness. You see the ever-flowing beauty of her mane in the ghostly light. She shows you what appears to be a massive treasure. Behold my champion. You see what appears to be a huge, massive skeleton of a dragon. It is huge. It is 20 by 20 feet. It is an ancient dragon of undead. It currently has an exposed open heart. She stares at you and she says, "This is our champion."
A dragon.
And now it makes sense why they. In my head, I'm now thinking that is why they mentioned needing the crystal heart. Well,
Blizzard asks, what would happen to the Crystal Empire if the Crystal Heart is no longer protecting them? What will happen?
The crystal heart is what fuels my champion's love for me. She tells you the entire story of the crystal heart now. Go to your handout. Give me a second, you guys. She begins to relay the entire story of it. Nope, that's not what I want. Handouts. Handouts. The items, right? Crystal heart. Broken item. Yep, okay. She tells you, literally tells you everything there is about it. She says, with the DC 20 charm and mind check, she literally created it. The crystal heart has a trouble and dark past. This item was taken from a greedy dragon by the royal sisters. On pages 92 and 104 of the Journal of the Two Sisters, young Princess Lester and young Princess Luna write down in the time they received the crystal heart after it was stolen from a greedy dragon. In reality, the royal sisters stole the dragon's heart, who was in love with Princess Zamora. The royal sisters killed the beast and took its heart, granting the gift unto Princess Zamora and the ponies who lived there. Thus, the dragon's love for Princess Zamora was pure, but the dragon's cruelty and greedy intentions fell elsewhere upon the land, turning the land the dragon once ruled into frozen, mountainous, and unforgiving icescape known as the frozen north. And now you know the rest of the story.
And for me, that makes perfect sense. It seems to me like the royal sisters, well-meaning, made a grave mistake in taking the crystal heart.
No, it was my champion's fault. He took himself and poured it into the crystal heart and gave it unto me. unknowingly cursing himself. For without love, what is a creature but a husk?
Blizzard didn't say anything. Instead, he walked up towards the skeleton dragon, where he's looking at his skull face to face, and he just says, curses and regrets. Maybe.
I need you both to roll me mind. As you're like listening to the story.
I would like to re-roll that.
Sure.
I shall do the same as well.
Okay. Blizzard Star. You quickly realize, as she's telling you the story and everything else, you quickly realize that it was cruelty who tricked this dragon to giving his heart to the pony he loved, thus turning him into a greedy, cruel monster.
This is where Blizzard, when he realized this, started to shed tears and actually placed a hoof right on top of the skull of the dragon's skull and just says, cruelty and everything in this world can be so beautiful, yet so tragic and bitter. Just hope that we both can feel redeemed. I promise I will help you.
And I do the same. I just simply place a hoof on top of one of its claws, if there were some way to just telepathically say to it, I just say to my head, cruelty tricked you. It was not, the fault was not you. The fault was not yours. Cruelty deceived you and tricked you. But we will find a way to save you. And I don't expect a response or anything, but I'm just simply pouring my thoughts and feelings into words in my head. Whether the dragon can hear them or feel them or not, it doesn't matter to me. I am simply giving to it, not expecting anything in return. Not even a reply.
You get no reply.
And I do not expect one, but with that, I simply look to Princess Amor and then to my companion, but intent on doing what we must do.
Cruelty will send his minions here, and should you fail, our champion will become his.
This is where Blizzard took a deep breath.
I simply write how long.
I do not know.
Well, in that case, I just simply stand my ground to attention, as if a soldier ready to listen, as if ready to follow her commands.
I am bound to this place. I cannot leave. Cruelty has been searching for this place for a long time. It is strange that circumstances has brought you here. Remember that nothing can hurt cruelty except for kindness and love.
Blizzard took a deep breath, calming himself down and feeling his mind more clear after pouring his heart for the creature that was the dragon that cared for the princess. Then walked next to the princess and asked, if this was a sanctuary, then the gods here would have had weapons to defend against cruelty, or at least against his minions. Correct?
She nods in reply.
then maybe we arm ourselves to defend against cruelty's minions.
That is where I shake my head and look to Blizzard and write, have you not been listening to anything she said?
It's not that. I understand of cruelty, but the minions. You saw what happened. They would turn each other. They would start mauling each other like animals, and I just don't know what to do.
She gave us, I think, she already gave us the answer. Love and kindness are the key.
Against cruelty, but what about the minions? Would they also?
Just as you are, just as you are. They were likely tricked and betrayed, forced to work against their own nature, just as you did.
And upon hearing that, my heart is definitely filled with a greater compassion for them. And again, I look to what appears to be, like a sword there and weapons, and I look to Blizzard, wave one of my hooves at it in refusal, and shake my head. We will not use weapons against them. And I then bring my hoof to my heart, and I tap it. This is all we will use.
Blizzard admits that he was scared. He was scared of not just failing, but also losing all that he holds dear. His friends, his brother, but he also had faith in those that he cared, and reached out to his friend as well, saying, "Alright, let's try it."
That is where I would write, I understand better than you think. And with that, I turn to the Princess Amor, and normally this would be like one of Zikora's memory potions, and I just focus on that dark moment in my life where I was terrified and I ran and I lost everything that I loved, even though I did no wrong. But what happened in the Everfree Forest was a terrible mistake on the part of the villagers of Sunnytown. They murdered my friend Ruby because they were afraid, and because of that, they were turned into undead creatures as well. Whereas I ran, and I've lived with that sorrow and pain my whole life. But it never stopped me from being kind and loving to others. And I want to believe that with this kind of knowledge, I could one day go back and redeem them. Whether a second chance at life, or at least free them to go to the next life. At least grant them peace. But for now, we have the task at hand to help with whatever's going to come here.
No, you must face your own scar. A champion like you is broken, but must be made whole. And this is where she places her hoof upon your forehead.
Right.
And she says, disappear. Oh, yep, goodbye. Zoop.
I certainly did not resist.
Yep. Come with me. Are you going with them, Lizard Star?
Well, he is my friend, so you bet that I'm going to be there for him, like
She
he has
places
for
her hooks
everyone
on
else.
both her hands. Boop, disappear. Do, 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 do. Give me a second here, guys. This is a perfect time for this. Yep. Where's it at? Where's it at? That's not it. That's not it. Come on now. That's not it either. I know I got it. I know I got it. Oh, there it is. Let's see, make sure this is the right one. Yep, it is. Boop, boop. Are you coming with them by the shot? Swim by the shots with you. Where you at?
And luminescence, for that matter, or whatever's.
Yep. Characters. Everybody be here. Essence will be here. I mean, she critted on you guys, so good luck trying to resist that. She's like, yep, you need to go face your demons. And she sends you to go face your demons inside your mind. Uh, tell me about your old house that you lived in.
It was the
No
same
name?
as it was the same as just about any others. Very simple, much like other ponies, like those in Ponyville and so forth. Simple furnishings, especially since I had not really developed any special quirks at the time that would signify who I was. For example, I had some friends. There was a couple, two of them. There was one named Romeo, and he was so named because he loved another pony. Her name was Starlet. But they were also part of the fear that resulted in Ruby's death. There was also another one named Mitta, and she was the only one that I heard who shouted out, "What have we done?" She was the one who shouted regret when the curse took. And then, of course, there was Ruby, who was my friend. But I was outside the town when the curse consumed them all. And rather than stay out of fear thinking it would take me, I ran. And with it, I kind of left behind all that sense of joy and happiness that I once had with everyone in Sunnytown before the horrible murder occurred.
Need you to roll me a mind. See if you remember your home. Oh yeah, you remember it. Sometimes something's different about this. It seems to be dilapidated and destroyed. Something seems to be off about this place, but you can't quite name it. Doors are unhinged. It seems to be exposed to the elements. Old. Over what? How old are you? It's been 10
I'm in
years,
my.
dilapidated.
It's been a few years, so I'd be in my 20s.
So It's been about a decade of dilapidation, where nature has begun to reclaim it. Moss hangs in the air. Dead leaves and unkept trees loom about your home, your childhood home. What do you do as you approach this area?
I simply walk towards it, that heavy feeling in my heart, but it doesn't take rocket science for me to figure out what Princess Amore has sent me here to do after everything that she said. I look to
Before
my
our friends walked up to the steps and go inside, Blizzard placed one hoof behind him and says, "Don't worry. You got friends behind you this time."
I nod once again.
It is currently daylight. Sun is shining, everything looks pretty and beautiful. Just old and dilapidated, as if it was a forgotten memory.
I just continue walking forward.
Tell me about your house.
Yeah, like I said, it was very much like most of the others. Just simple furnishings, but it just had that cheerful, general, warmth, welcoming atmosphere like one would expect in Ponyville. I would recall how everyone was smiling, happy, frequently having parties, just living life much not all that different from Ponyville, just in their own sort of isolated way.
You walk up the stairs and they creak and moan under your footsteps. The door is wide open. You can clearly see the insides of it.
And I enter inside.
You open it up. The door, of course, naturally falls off its rusted hinges, but inside you see what appears to be moss growing. Green ooze. This is your childhood home?
Yes. I just step over it and just look around. It's one of those silent, sad expressions. Although I would actually make my way towards, I would actually think I won't spend too much time musing on my personal house for the time being. I would actually walk out and start making my way towards the center of town.
Blizzard got up a little ahead before him and just slow him down a little and say, "Hold on. There's a reason why you're here. Think things through first. You need to confront your fears like the princess said. And remember, we're here."
Well, I'll just come to this area here, and what is on? I expect these are like doors on both sides.
They swing open and creak, moaning as you open them.
I'm going to start with this one.
Give me a second. I was trying to swing it open. It's not one to swing. Fine, delete. There we go. It's not working.
And again, just more of the same barren.
Much like your memory.
I didn't quite hear that.
Much like your memories.
Oh yes, yeah. And once again, this all used to be furnished, simple but very welcoming. All in all, just a very nice, friendly, welcoming home.
Something gives you pause as you walk towards the stove of the house.
At the fireplace, but yes.
The fireplace. What was it about the fireplace that always drew you there?
Yeah. That was the place where Ruby's body was left. After she was killed, her body was thrown into the fireplace, and that was where it was reduced to bones. That's where more sad memories come to mind. It's right there where I would just drop down and just, for the first time in a long time, I started crying. And under the very whisper of my breath, I simply say one name, Ruby, which is probably the very first time any of you have ever heard me speak.
Blizzard decided to be there for his friend by giving him a simple hug, letting him have a sort of close comfort, letting him know that he can set as much as he wants, and all he needs is the friends he has now willing to be there for him, helping him like he had before. Well, for all of us.
He's just letting the tears come out and the words just dribble out too. I'm so sorry, Ruby. I wish I could have been there to save you, or at least let you know that I loved you as a dear friend. I was so scared of what happened to everyone else. And yet I sorrow for them too. My heart broke every single day from the moment I ran, knowing what happened to them.
I think that's
Blizzard
where there's
sang,
a little light seems to be burning in the stove.
That's where I look up, tears running down my face. I always loved you were always my dearest friend, Ruby. If there was anything I could do to free you and the others of this suffering, I would.
Did you roll me a charm? In the distance, you hear what appears to be a young girl's voice saying, "Come, come."
And with that, I follow the voice wherever it's coming from.
The stove.
I walk to the stove. I walk into the fireplace.
And that's when everything turns upside down and hellish. As you walk into the fire, you begin to burn. And everything changes. Yes. As you begin to burn inside the furnace, a hellish appearance takes over your mind. This is where you lost your name. Once again, you see what appears to be some sort of obtuse figure in the distance beckoning you.
I continue to follow that voice.
Roll me a mind. Yes, you're very confident that this is Ruby.
And I call it, and I then speak her name once again, Ruby.
You hear her name calling you just beyond this door.
Oh, which door is that?
This one right here. Give me a second.
All right.
The walls of the moss and everything appear to be burnt and destroyed. Everything that was once beautiful in daylight is now turned to ash around you.
I attempt to open the door.
The door falls off its hinges into ash. Before you stands a petite, small, ghostly child.
Ruby.
Who are you?
I was your friend.
You left
one-
me.
And with that, tears running down my face. Yes, I ran. And I am so sorry that I did.
She will say that you are a coward. You abandoned me. Roll me a charm.
I then say, I was, yes. And
Yes. Yes.
I would like to spend 1 token to reroll.
Sure. Oh, should I spend 2 tokens of darkness for you to autofill? I think I will. I spend 2 tokens of darkness for you to autofill.
Right.
Actually, 3 tokens of darkness for you to autofill. Ruby screams at you. And flees.
I immediately pursue her this time. I won't leave you this time. And I follow after her.
Blizzard is going to follow behind his friend and actually try and stop him, shouting at him, saying, "Snap out of it, friend! This isn't Ruby! This isn't what she would say!"
Is this how we end this episode? I think so. I think this is how we end this episode, as you are chasing the Ruby ghost into the in your house, in your faded memories of your old house that's been totally dilapidated and changed. It is the darkness within your mind. We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Later, folks. Stay around and enjoy the insanity.